This is the moment where the Daily Boom go live. Let's do it.
Are you ready? Call your mama, call your papa, call your friends. The festivities are about to begin. Boom!
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. Woo! This should be on, and it should be live on YouTube right now. So I will share the show on the Daily Boom Discord server, but I would like to encourage everyone that has access to other Discord servers to share the show over there. So please, copy the YouTube link. You can type in, hey, Jose is live, or let's do it. And that way, we got this party on the road. Right now, we are in the Discord server, the Daily Boom. There is where the festivities are going to take place. So please click on the Daily Boom and join. How about that? Did you guys hear me? Is there audio on my end? The YouTube chat box is acting a little bit funny. It's okay. But I see the name Stingray. I see Sean Hawkins, Marcus Dresden, Sean Smith, Charlie Welsh in the house. That means that we are live and successfully we are in the YouTube universe. Patio furniture, I see you. Excellent. So let's unmute Discord and see if we get some festivities on the road. The show is going to be 2 hours max, but it could be less than 2 hours. So think about that. Okay, and now we are heard also via a different The first audio, when you just heard me speaking a minute ago, that was audio shared via Google Meets. Now the audio is being shared via Discord. And is anybody want to join? As I say, welcome to this. Charlie Welch, what's up? Hey, you guys know that we have now the go-to channel option back. I think it's only when you are a mod on a channel. So in this channel, everybody's good because everybody's a mod, so you can check each other's channels out. If you see anybody on YouTube chatting with you and you want to check on the channel, if you are on a PC or laptop, click on the three dots in the right-hand side of the name and go to channel. That will open a new window and take you to their channels. If you are on a phone, I think you only click on their name and a set of options will pop up for you guys. I see the Stingray is sharing the screen, top of the show. What's up? Morning, sir.
Yeah. So I got something quite interesting here.
All right, let me share you to YouTube, and floor will be yours. Go for it. You'll be up on 5 seconds.
Yeah. So this is just a little 5-minute thing, and I'm still waiting to try and prove this damn thing wrong. I really am. So I've got a selection of live webcams. Surprisingly enough, all around the same longitude. But there's a very interesting thing. I've got Brighton Pier in almost complete darkness, lit up. So this is the south coast of England. But on the same line, I've actually got a sunset in Ibiza. And then in Gibraltar, it's still damn sunny. And then on the coast of Portugal, it's a bit gloomy, but the sun's actually behind us, so. But it's still very much daytime there. And what's interesting is this is perfectly predicted by the Terminator line. On today's date, we can see Brighton, or the UK, if I just reverse time a little bit, we can see Brighton is here. And we can see that now it's dark, but if we look down at Ibiza, we're watching sunset, and then there's a port something here, near Gibraltar, and then there's Portugal. And it matches this Terminator line, and it matches the revolving, beautiful planet that we are on. And just a message to all flat earthers, I'm still desperately trying, and I mean really trying, to find something that doesn't work on here. And I'm failing terribly at the moment. But I'm going to see how the next time I come on, I'll probably show us how the flat Earth fares with such predictions.
Funny thing about this that you haven't even been pointed out specifically what is wrong, what doesn't work. Specific, either a time zone, a time, and an area. And that's what I hear ringing a lot. Oh, I'm not here to prove you the flat Earth. I'm not here to give. I'm here to tell you how wrong is the globe. But in this instance, nothing have come up for you specifically in this type of modeling. What is wrong with the globe? They actually don't haven't tell you at all.
One of the, I mean, I've started putting this in. I've not done it properly yet, but one of the amazing things that flat earthers think is, well, when the moon's behind and this is nighttime, why isn't the moon in complete shadow? And that's because the moon is a fair distance away and at an angle. This tube here represents the shadow cast by the Earth from the sun. So in order to be shadowed, the moon would have to pass into it. And spoiler alert, it really doesn't do that very often. But it's predictable when it does. And that's with our precession of this orbit in our solar system. And we can predict it, but we can predict it non-statistically. In other words, I don't need when it happened last or any of that data. I just need to know the supposed orbits, the distances and sizes of things, and we can work it out incredibly accurately in this day and age to, I think, within the minute and within half a mile of where totality of an eclipse will be. But the reason why, I still don't understand why the reason flat earthers think the sun, the moon should be in shadow, does it look like it's hitting that shadow there as it's orbiting round most of the time? Or does that look like a big, beautiful, very bright full moon? Because it's way above the Earth in its orbit. And it can still see the sun. But anyway, that's it. Just want to start with that.
That's beautiful, man. Now, on these years, have any flat earther or globe deniers besides Lemonbird, who say like, the moon can be from 3,000 to 10,000 miles high or whatever. You know, they give you a big, broad, wishy-washy answer. Have anybody have come up with it like more specific numbers?
No, not yet. I mean, first of all, I do want. Everybody says, "Oh, the globe fails. You can't do predictions, all this kind of stuff." And I can predict the Terminator line. I can predict when live webcams are going to go dark or not based on where they are using the Terminator line, based off a sphere the size that everybody says it is, with the sun at the distance that everybody says that it is, parallel light rays. And I can, I built this so that we can see the path, if you look at the top right, of the sun through the sky exactly. And it's within half a degree accurate. I say half a degree, it might be incredibly accurate in some places, but it might be half a degree out. I still need to enable elliptical orbits. But for my purposes of, is it going to be within half a degree of, let's say, 22.5 degrees? Yes. In my day-to-day, that's as high as the sun was. Now, the weird thing is, this shape that the sun makes through the sky and the transition path that it makes, if I sketched a line out there, and then I tried to find that line by placing an observer on flat Earth, there's only one way that I could find it, and I'm gonna do a little presentation on this once I've sorted it all out. But there's only one way that I can find it, and that's to place the observer way outside of the flat Earth. And I'm talking beyond the ice wall, looking back at the sun, and then having some very, very funky refraction towards the outer edges, pulling the sun down so that it actually bends and looks like it's going behind a curve. And on that situation, yes, but that's outside of the actual flat Earth at that point. That's
right. Yeah, you have to add a lot of extra layers of magical, layers of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so an example is we saw the path that the sun took there. The problem that you've got in looking at a flat Earth is that the sun arcs towards you. And the arc is the opposite way to what it is in reality if you're in the northern hemisphere. So it's kind of a bit weird. So if we look at the sun here on the bottom left, and we look at the path that it would make through the sky, it's going to get higher as it gets closer to you, which is closest point to me in England, or in, oh no, this is in LA. The closest point is here. And the furthest point away is a little bit further down here. So it's gone down. But that's not what happens in reality. It goes up and arcs round. And like I say, the only way to get that, or to start trying to achieve that, is we have to get the observer and say, no, you're not there. You're way out here looking back in. And then you start to get the arc of the sun the correct way, as in it gets highest at noon. So it's just an amazing assumption that people think that you're on this flat Earth with a sun that does this, yet nothing can work. Whereas on the sphere, everything can work. But I'm still open to being proved wrong on both counts.
Well, clearly you didn't take into account the ether band.
The easier escape for them is, but you are assuming that the sun is physical and it has a specific location on the sky. Well, if not physical with a specific location on the sky and the movement, what it is then? You got to give Stingray or somebody at least an attempt to tell, well, it is a ball of plasma, like the behavior will be this or that, or you got to tell what specifics are,
Yeah, just really quickly, a ball of plasma is physical. I can
Actually,
measure
yes.
it.
I was grabbing myself like, wait, that's kind of what the sun is.
How does something not physical create heat and light?
Yeah. Well, my two issues with that are: show me something non-physical that can produce directed energy, and then show me something non-physical that we can detect radiation from and electromagnetic waves. Because if you can't do that, then I'm going to assume, because of it's most probably true, and by probably true I mean it's never been proved false, that this thing must be physical. There are no non-physical objects that can be demonstrated that have all of those traits.
What about the sun?
You can't point to
Prove it's physical.
the exception as the proof to the exception.
Come here and prove the sun is physical.
How does it create light and heat if it's not physical?
You can't.
Come and prove the sun is physical. Prove you have a curvature of 8 inches per mile squared.
1 point at a
Prove
time.
that you have got a rotation of 15 degrees of the Earth.
Not started going too early for that. 1 point at a time. Let's prove the sun is physical. That was
All
a fair.
of these are complete assumptions.
Yeah, but let's go 1 point at a time.
He has made this model fit his assumptions. There is no science to it. There is no dimensions that are anything like what he's got any fucking measurements for.
Did you get triggered with this small presentation?
I do get very.
So let's talk about it. So let's talk about the sun first. No, don't bring the rotation and these inches, but let's go 1 point at a time. You asked a question to Stingray. He was giving you an answer and you just repeated. You asked, how can you repeat the question about the sun being physical? Don't keep adding questions. And then Stingray is happy to entertain your question, I guess.
Let him prove his measurements of curvature and spin. Let him prove that.
No, that's out of the topic yet. About the sun. About the sun first.
Presenting this as evidence. Now let's see your physical measurements of all the things you're showing us.
About the sun first, right? About the sun, we're going to talk about.
Show us your proof that the sun is physical.
Okay, let me answer all of these. So
you haven't got any.
Okay, good. Do you want to answer for me? Or do you want me to answer? It's up to you.
Go on then.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So, improving the sun's physicality. The issue with saying that is, as a human being, I can't actually go up to it and touch it.
Right. So we can dismiss that then. So the sun is not.
You got it. No, you got to let him. You got to let him, Brian. You got to let him do.
Fucking sun being physical.
You have to let him do his thing.
Come here saying the sun's fucking physical when you've got no proof to it.
Brian,
now,
you didn't let him finish.
Curvature. Give us your measurements for the curvature of Earth.
Hey, you're getting hot today.
This bloke is lying out of his fucking back teeth.
How are we going
to
How am I going to? You gotta let me talk, Brian. If you want to interrupt Stingray, it's not cool, but don't. I'm trying to bring you down. Couple notches. Relax, bro. You got so triggered with what he say, but you gotta let him talk, bro. He was halfway on his explanation.
So anyway, absolute truth. I don't believe that I can ever demonstrate to you anything is absolutely true. I really do not. In terms of the physicality of the sun, I can only tell you that science demonstrates that it is beyond all probability true, but that's a probability. So in other words, it's the highest degree of certainty that we have for anything that is physical, because it shares physical traits with loads of other objects and things that are measurable, demonstrable, that we can walk up to. Now, a very interesting thing here is there a chance that it's non-physical and everything's made up? Yes. There's also a chance that we could be living in a simulation. Yes, so there's no absolute certainty. But in the absence of being able to point at the sun and say, hey, it's exactly like this other non-physical thing that can emit light, produce energy, and we can receive EM waves from, then I'm sorry, if you can't demonstrate that what you're proposing it is, which is non-physical, if you can't demonstrate that that actually exists in my reality, why would I go and test for that? It's like testing for unicorns.
I'm not proposing what the sun is. You are. I'm saying back your fucking claims. Back your claims that that sun is a physical object. Back your claims that Earth has got curvature. Back your claims that Earth has got spin.
Right. Okay.
Other than that, throw this fucking load of shit away.
Okay. So first of all,
because you're lying to yourself, you're lying to the public, and you're lying to your fucking kids.
Good. Now his turn to answer.
Okay. So first of all, I never did claim that the sun is physical. The only thing that I claim is under current science, I built this model so that I can test this model against reality with predictions that it can make and its usefulness. Now, I don't know that I'm not going to claim that the sun's physical. I am going to say that this model includes it at the size that it is, at the distance that they say it is, and that's all I'm on about. It could be a unicorn arsehole over there, I don't know, that's entirely made up. But it's give off light. And this is a big, beautiful sphere, and that's the moon over there. And all I can say to you, Brian, with all certainty, is this thing is 100% accurate at predicting night and day, Terminator lines, seasons, the path of the sun through the sky. It's 100% accurate. Now, even if this isn't true, if I'm a farmer, I'm going to use this to when to plant my crops. Whereas the flat earth never works on any predictions. So I couldn't give a rat's ass whether this is absolute truth. It is 100% useful.
So where is your measurement?
May I ask a question?
And your measurements for your spin that you've put into this model? You haven't got any. There isn't any. You are living a fantasy that has been impressed into your fucking brain.
Brian, now I got a question for you.
No, I'm not answering any fucking questions.
Well, you can be asking all kinds of questions that are well known. We all know what the model is. We all know how Earth works. You bring in something the opposite to you, so you have to answer this question, Brian. And the question for you is, how can you show us something that is not physical? Go ahead, now you can answer.
No measurements for this model.
You were muted. Nobody heard you on YouTube. I muted you because I tried to ask you a question. How can you tell me something that is not physical? That is the only question I got for you. Go ahead.
A shadow.
Okay, so the sun is a shadow. Okay, good. Very well said.
You must have burnt ants with the old eyeglass. That's a focal point. But you can see a hot spot.
From the physical sun. Yeah, from the physical sun. Yeah.
There should be something like that.
Very well explaining physics with the physical sun. Yes, Brian, thank you. Welcome to the globe.
There is no fucking measurements. There's no measurement of curvature. There is no measurements of spin. This is fantasy. And I want all your listeners to understand this is fantasy.
Brian.
Wait a minute, I'm just going to conclude with this before I stop sharing. Brian, even if this is fantasy, if it's 100% useful and 100% accurate, go fuck yourself. I'm using fantasy.
It is fucking fantasy.
Steve Rodino and Brian, go ahead. Now we got Steve and Brian for a few minutes.
You ain't, because I've got my dinner now.
No, I just had a question. He claims, can you get a sunburn from the sun?
I'm having my dinner.
Exactly. What generates that heat? What generates that radiation? It has to be physical.
He doesn't know.
He's clueless.
Then prove it.
Jesus, this is a guy who says we don't have any measurements.
Prove your facts. Prove them. You can't.
Well, why don't you?
They've been proved over and over again. Geodetic surveyors prove the shape of the Earth.
I am not making any fucking claim.
Yes, you are. No, Brian, you're
You
making
just
claims that we don't
refuse
have
to
the measurements
acknowledge
that we show you.
information.
Your claims are the sun is a physical fucking thing.
Yep.
Prove it.
Yep.
Go outside and feel the heat coming
Prove that
from it.
fucking claim.
Go and get sunburn.
So when there's
Does that
so when
mean
there's
the
a
sun's
solar
a physical
flare,
thing?
Yep.
Does it?
so when there's a solar flare and it affects everybody's cell phones, how is that not a physical thing?
A solar flare is a physical thing.
Yes.
Radio waves, basically. That's a physical thing, is it? You're living in fucking
Oh,
fantasy
dear.
and all
No.
of you.
Solar flare is not radio
Where's
You
waves.
cannot come up with a model if you have not got any fucking measurements for it. You have no measurements. It is fantasy.
We have the measurements. We
It
have
is
the measurements for
fantasy that's been
everything.
implanted
You just
into your
refuse to
fucking
accept
brain.
them because you're not smart enough to do them yourself.
Complete and utter fucking fantasy. You've got to get it out your fucking head. It's ridiculous. You're grown fucking clever, intelligent human beings.
Oh, thank you.
Get this fantasy out of
Where's
your
the
head.
dinner, Brian?
You do not live on a
Brian, do you
fucking
have the
rotating
education?
spherical fucking ball.
I'm gonna tell you where
Fucking
Brian, do
lunacy.
you have the education to do geodetic surveying?
Do you have the fucking common sense to understand you're not spinning at 1,000 fucking miles an hour?
Then what causes the Coriolis effect?
Do you have fucking common sense to understand you're not spinning at 1,000 fucking miles an hour?
Then what causes the Coriolis effect?
Do you have common fucking sense to understand you do not fucking live on a fucking 1,000 mile an hour spinning ball?
I got a quick comment. I got a prediction that Brian, listen to this one. I got a prediction that Mrs. Mabbett is not home right now. That's what Brian said. Let me do this now, right?
She is home, actually.
Oh, fucking hey! She must be mad at you today. Come on, take it easy with Mrs. Brian, Deborah.
No, I'm doing some shit today, so I'm in the bad book.
No, she's outside gardening.
No, she's not. She's just giving me dinner.
Brian, common sense says we are spinning in.
No, you're not.
floating.
Because there is no
common
measurement
sense
for
says
that
it.
spin. You cannot
Yes, we
fucking
do.
back it up with a measurement.
We do. We
There
have
is
lots of
no
measurements.
known test to prove you are fucking spinning.
Yes, there is.
No, there is not.
Well, just because you said it.
I
Well,
think there
do
is.
it then. Do the cunt and show me your results.
Do you want to see my
And
test?
if I show you the
Do
results, would you
fucking
accept
test.
it?
Experiment. whatever you wanna
if
call
I
it, cunt. Do it and show me your fucking results.
And if I do, would you accept it?
If you do a proper test that I can repeat,
What?
yes.
That you can repeat? Sure.
Yeah, go for it. Now prove you're fucking spinning. You're not
Hold
fucking
on, coming
moving.
up. Hold on, hold your horses.
This has got to come to a fucking end for our grandchildren's fucking sake. They need to know the truth. And while you lot keep bolstering this bullshit up for them, they will keep fucking laying it onto them.
Okay, well,
It has got to end.
Okay.
We are living a fucking fantasy.
Stop, Jesus, stop, and count down 2 seconds. While Laurie's searching for that, if this is all fake and we do live on a flat Earth, and the architectural surveyor that's going to have to do the load-bearing calculations for my house extension doesn't use gravity, if all of that is fake and everything's flat, how does the world or civilization get better?
The truth.
And
We
that
want
automatically makes
the
people better.
truth. That's all we want. There is no such thing as gravity. A fucking lump of wood falls through the air, yet it goes up in water. It is just purely the fucking medium anything's in. Hydrogen balloon, I mean, a helium balloon will go up, but if you put it in hydrogen, it goes down.
Brian,
It's
just really
purely
quickly.
the medium that whatever it is in.
Stop
There is
thinking.
no
Oh
such
my God.
thing as
Okay.
gravity.
Right, so no matter how loud or how many times you repeat it, that
It
it's a
takes a
pointless
lot
thing.
to get it to
I'm
sink
gonna ask
into
you-
your
I'm
head
gonna ask you-
because you are so indoctrinated
I'm
with
gonna
this
ask you a
bullshit.
question. I'm going to ask you a question. Now, if I'm going to go with your train of thought here, if gravity isn't a thing, what pushes down on an object? You're saying it's the medium around it, right? Is that correct?
What pushes down on a piece of wood underwater when it's going upwards?
Oh, yeah, so it's the medium around it that causes the force, correct? Yes or no?
It is less dense than the medium it is in.
Not what I'm asking. What causes
I'm
it
telling
to
you.
move?
I'm not asking you. I'm fucking telling you. I'm through with fucking asking you. I'm telling you.
I'm asking you.
The density of the medium it is in.
Right, that's brilliant. So the density differential creates the force that moves it. Therefore, more dense things move things up. If they're outside, and the thing moving up is less dense, and so forth and so on. If it's more dense, then it's being pushed down by the medium. Correct? Hello? Has Mrs. Mabbett got to you?
Hello.
No, you'd hear her if she had.
All right. Okay, so the thing that gives something its weight is the medium that it's in, right? We can agree to that?
Gravity is gravitas, which means weight. They're telling you what it is. And it only weighs that in this medium we are in.
Brilliant, awesome. That's what I wanted. Excellent. So
if you put something in a different medium and tried to weigh it, it would weigh fucking different.
Brilliant, awesome. So if that's the only thing doing it, I challenge you to do this. You know what tearing scales are? Get a 1 meter volume container, all sealed, because we like sealed containers, don't we? Have air in it. Then weigh that container. Tear the scales at that point, put a brick in it. Weigh that container. You will weigh the weight of the brick is the difference. Brilliant. Now fill that container with water. Tear the scales again. Water's more dense, thus the brick should be lighter. Place the brick in the water. You'll read the same. Go figure that one out.
I've figured it out. I've done this test myself.
I seriously doubt that.
You have the water takes up the mass of the brick. Now what you have to do is what I did on camera is just hang something in water. Because what you're doing, you are measuring the mass of the brick that is submerged in the water, and now the water has absorbed that mass, hasn't it? It's trying to make it fucking... The mass don't just disappear. However, if you get scales that are luggage scales and hang the brick in water, you will see it gets fucking lighter.
Right. So I agree with you. The mass isn't going to change, but I seriously disagree with you that the water's going to absorb the mass.
Well, you're weighing the water with the brick in it. Is it going to get fucking lighter when you've just said the mass is the same and doesn't disappear?
So the medium
Come on,
that it's in,
you're better than this shit.
The medium that it's in actually dictates the forces exerted upon it, which means if I have different densities, things should weigh less. The same mass should weigh less in those densities. And if I tear scales in a controlled experiment with water, oil, air, then the same object in each should weigh different, yet it does not. I would like you to figure that out, please.
Yes, it does.
I'm not on about buoyancy, Brian.
You are
not hanging something, not buoyancy. I'm on about absolute weight with the scales torn with the medium in them.
How have you got your medium? On top of the scales?
Water, oil, air. There you go.
No. Where are your scales?
Underneath this huge glass container with water, and in one time air, one time water, one time oil.
No, Stingray, I was hoping better from you. You are weighing, let's just put it in a bucket. You are weighing a bucket with water in it, and you place a brick in the water, and you expect it to weigh less when you're weighing the brick, the bucket, and the fucking water.
Brian, that's a mistake. What I'm expecting to do, you know what tearing scales are? Just zeroing them. So when I have a container and I've got water in it and I zero them, the scales read 0. Now, when I place the brick in that water, you're saying that the surrounding medium, the density differential, is giving a force, which we'll call the weight of the brick, to the brick. Brilliant, awesome, let's go with that. But now what that means, that hypothesis means, is that when you take the water out and only have air in there and tear the scales and put the brick back in, it should weigh different. And it doesn't.
Yes, it does. You are putting the brick at the bottom of the container, aren't you?
Well, wherever it goes with the equilibrium it's seeking, I guess.
So it will be at the bottom of the container. So what you've done, you've added the mass of that brick to the overall weight. Now, what you've got to do, and listen to what I'm saying, hang the brick with a scales that you use to weigh your luggage. So you hang it in water, not fucking measure the weight of the water and the bucket and the brick. Weigh the brick outside of the water, then lower the brick into the water. You will see a weight change.
Yes,
I think that's because of buoyancy, isn't it?
It is
yes,
indeed.
because the water then is trying to support the brick because it's more dense than air. Now, if you put that,
if you love these,
let's
Ryan,
just change the scenario. Let's
say
a 5 kilo piece of wood. Now we weigh it outside the water and it weighs 5 kilos. We drop it into the water and now it weighs fuck all. It weighs fuck all because the water is supporting the mass of the wood.
I highly suspect that if you dropped the wood into the water,
buoyancy,
not only would it weigh the same at the moment of impact, it would weigh slightly more. The reason for it floating on the water
I'm
is
not saying drop it. I'm saying lower it. Hold on. Let's have two sets of scales then. Let's have a bucket full of water, long enough to take a piece of wood in, that's 5 kilo. Let's put that on scale. So we weigh the bucket and the water and we zero the scales, right? So it's reading 0. We've got a 5 kilo piece of wood. We lower on a set of luggage scales, so it's hanging. It's reading 5 kilos. We lower it onto the water. Now, your scales that have got everything in will read 5 kilos because we've added that mass to what we're weighing overall. But your scales that using for the luggage will read 0 because the whole mass of the wood is being supported by the water and shown on the scales at the bottom. Now, if we have a medium like a brick that will not float and will suspend in mid-water, so it's not on the bottom of the bucket, it's in the bucket, you will see that the scales read a percentage of the weight of the brick. Not all of it, because it can't support all the weight of the brick.
That's what I want.
But your scales, your luggage scales will read lower. Now, I'm not giving you figures, maybe 2 or 3 fucking grams or maybe 100 grams. I don't know.
Really quickly, and then I'm done. So now let's change it because what you're doing is you're measuring the buoyant force, which is an emergent force out of the gravitational force of pushing shit down. And I don't want to do that. I want to prove your point. So, but you mentioned an important thing. What we can do now is this glass container. Let's call it a bucket, but it'd have to be a little bit higher than a bucket. So let's call it a fish tank that's slightly higher. What about now is if we have two metal rods that cross that we can put objects on. Now, when we put a brick that's going to be submerged fully by the water, if the water is giving that brick its weight because of the density differential, that's wicked. I'm all for that. And there's water underneath it now as well because it's rested on those two lines. So we tear the scales, we put the brick on there, which means we've measured the downward force of the brick at that moment. Then let's do the same in an oil, where we fill it with oil, and we tear the scales and put the brick in the oil, and then do it with air, where we tear the scales, measure the brick. They will all measure the same, and you have to figure out why that is, if density is the thing that you're saying gives something force.
If we do what? We put the brick in oil.
Wait a minute.
Oil is less dense than water, isn't it?
Are you on a computer? I'm going to share something.
Yeah. I'm trying to eat dinner as well.
Damn, you're making me stop sharing King Kong shoving a tree down Godzilla's throat. Okay, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, but Godzilla wins, I think, in the end.
Yes. Whenever you're ready, I'll share you to YouTube.
Yeah, just give me 2 seconds. I've got to learn how to use Blender again.
Hey, to everybody watching, there are 30 people watching. Don't forget to hit the like, and please support. There's a PayPal link pinned in YouTube, and there's in the description box. So if anybody can help out, help a brother out. I am really happy. My parents arrived yesterday. I went to see them in my sister's house. They're gonna stay. It's like 10-15 minutes from me. So I went to see them, and they are excited. They were really tired. So I just say hi. I hung out with them for like 15 minutes. And today, like around 2, that's why I say show is gonna be like 2 hours. I'm gonna go hang out with them for a few hours. So yeah, I'm really happy that they are over here, and they are. My sister came in also. My sister from Puerto Rico. She was a surprise. I knew my dad and my mom was coming in, but then my other sister from Puerto Rico came in with them to hang out. I was like, whoa, you also came. So it was really, really cool. Family reunion type of thing. Yep. I'll share you right now. Stingray, you're up.
Yeah. So, Brian, this is what I was on about. So if I, let's just grab this, make the radius a little bit less. So what we could do, and I used to have a fish tank like this as well. I don't think it was completely round, but it was kind of an octagon, I think. So the experiment would be as follows. Oh, sorry, Brian. Can you see my screen? Brian? No, maybe not.
We can see it on YouTube. I can see it. And
Brian.
Yeah, Brian is watching the screen. Also, Farmer's Boy, Gary C, and me.
All right. So this will be the experiment. If so, there's a way that we can test it. So what we've got here is a container. It contains, and at the moment, all it would contain is air. Now, what we can do is we can have scales. Let's just make some lovely little scales down here that sit on this thing. There we go. Now, we would tear the scales at this moment with the container having nothing but air. Then what we would do is we'd we'd go and source a brick, just one brick from somewhere. And then we'd put the brick on these two, and that would give us the force downwards that is being exerted on this brick. And that's fantastic. And these scales would read what this brick weighs. Now, if we got rid of this and moved this to the side, and all we did was weigh that brick, the same would be true. Brilliant. Awesome. Now what we do is we fill this container. We fill this container with, let's say, water. Water has a different density than air. Or we fill it with oil. Now, if the density differential gives something the downward force that gives it the weight, which is the reason why it drops, if we tear the scales, zero them out with oil in, so these scales read 0, and we put this brick in there now, we'd expect it to weigh differently if that were the case.
No, you would not.
Well, you're going to have to give me the math on that one, boy.
Are them tubes rigidly fixed to the outer wall of the container?
Aye, that they are.
No.
Is that how you've designed it?
Well, I could have them with wires hanging to the outside edges if you wanted, or something, or the top of the container. But yeah, I've stuck them straight through.
Is the mass of the brick in any way going to be transferred to the container?
The downward force that the brick produces.
No,
yes,
no, the weight of the brick.
Yeah, weight is a force, Brian.
Weight isn't mass.
Yeah, the weight is the weight, which is the force produced by the mass by some unknown mechanism, is going to be transferred to these. Yes, it is, because it's trying to go down. Then
doesn't matter what fluid you put it in, it is going to weigh exactly the same as what the brick weighs, because listen to what I'm saying, even if the medium you're going to put it in supports some of the weight of the brick, the rest of the weight will be transferred to the container through them rods.
Cool, awesome. So
you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, and believe it or not, I do agree with you. Now, but I've got a question here, and it's quite it's a logical conflict that I've got in my mind. I'm thinking that the medium that surrounds this brick is the thing that gives it the force downward. But logically, if we follow this out and it doesn't make a difference, then it doesn't matter whether it's in oil or air or a vacuum or surrounded in pure liquid gold. It doesn't make a difference to how much it weighs or the force that's pushing it down, right?
What do you mean it doesn't matter what it weighs? It's totally irrelevant. What you want to know and understand is whether putting it in a more dense medium, is the medium going to support some of the mass, if not all of it? Now, the other object, you could do it with a piece of wood. Now, if that container was full above them bars, say a couple of inches above the bars, and you put a piece of wood on there, it wouldn't go down and rest on them bars, would it? But its mass is being supported by the water, if the water is the medium we use, and on your scales, it would still show all of the mass of the wood.
I get it.
Because it's been transferred to the medium it's in.
We'll go with that.
I've done all this test, mate. I've done it with a hammer.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So we'll go with that then. No, you tested buoyancy. I don't want to do that. So what about if I take these bars out?
Wait, Stingray. We had an audio issue, and if we want to continue having a fuck up, like sound really awful show, people's gotta start muting when you're not talking. Like Earth is Live, I'm Farmer's Boy. I saw your microphones lighting up.
I'm sorry.
But it wasn't words. It was background noise what you had going on. So please mute until you're ready to speak. Please, go ahead, guys.
Right, Brian. So I've got an idea then. So you said it's the water that's supporting it, right? And I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to agree with you that to some extent the water supports this brick. It absolutely does. So I've got an idea. How about we only get the water to push down on the brick? How can we do that, I hear you cry? Well, why don't we put it right at the bottom so that there is no water pushing up on it or trying to support it, only pushing down? Can't we test your amazing density force hypothesis then?
Fucking rattling away, and I muted myself. If that container was full, well, not totally full, but you know what I mean, a couple of inches from the top, and you put the brick right to the bottom, then the only water there is above it. Correct?
That's
no water to speak of below it.
Correct. That's what I would be wanting, yes.
Right. Now try and model this for me. Do what you've done there and then suspend the brick in mid-water with another scale?
Sorry, say that again.
Get the brick to be
Wait a minute,
suspended in mid-water, suspended by a luggage scale. Or however you want to rig it up. I mean, you could have a normal press scale and then have a bar coming off either side down to either side of the brick. And what you will see is, which what I found, the lower scale increased fractionally, couple 100 grams, and the upper scale reduced that couple 100 grams because the water was supporting a couple of 100 grams of the brick.
Yes, that's called buoyancy.
Yeah, I don't want to measure buoyancy though.
But that's the only way. If you stick that brick in water like that, you will be weighing the container, the water, and the brick, and you will get the same weight. Because whatever weight the water is trying to support, you are measuring it. And you need the difference between the two. I'm not a fucking genius. I'm as thick as foot, but I can see what you're doing is just weighing the whole thing. You've got to suspend that brick and see the difference on your luggage scale. And there will be a difference, I'm telling you.
Yes, it's called buoyancy. We get this. It's how we work
out. That's what we're arguing.
It's the way we calculate. It's the way we calculate how a boat is going to float, Brian. It's by the displacement of the object.
That's totally different.
Density difference in the per unit volume. However,
that is displacement. It is trying to push away more water than what it weighs. If you hollowed that brick out now and turned it over, that would float. They make yacht hulls out of concrete because it's trying to displace more weight than what it actually weighs.
Yes, correct. That's brilliant.
I'm as thick as pig shit. Believe you me, but I can see what you're doing wrong.
Yeah, Brian. Just really quickly then, are we agreed? Yeah, we are totally agreed, you and I. Let's see if we're in sync here, and then I'm done. We're totally in sync that the medium over here that this brick is in, which is water, and the medium over here of which this brick is in, which is air, will not alter the downward force, the weight of either of these bricks. Are we both agreed on that, sir?
No. The weight of the brick will alter in the water.
Cool.
Will alter. But what you're doing, the where weight gets transferred to, let's call it that, is into the water. And you are still weighing the water.
I'm zeroing the water out, yes.
No, you are weighing the water. So it will still show the same weight that the brick weighs. If it's, let's just say for figures, if the water is able to support, let's say 20% of the brick's weight, so the water in effect will get 20% heavier, the brick will only weigh 80% of its weight, then your scales will read exactly the same.
Oh, wow.
Because you're measuring the water that now has got the mass of the brick that it's supporting it in it.
So are we agreed that the weight is actually, you know it's mass dependent, right? And you're saying that this brick adds more mass to the water, correct?
The brick is obviously more dense than the liquid, isn't it?
Yes.
Per square centimetre or millimetre or however you want to call it. Yeah, now, that weight will be slightly supported better in water than in air.
So this brick has given some of its mass to the water. Can you explain how it did that?
By supporting it, because it's still denser than the air. don't get me wrong, air is probably supporting that brick's weight. Let's say 0.001% of its weight is being supported by air. Now, if that brick was in a vacuum where there was no air, it would probably weigh more.
Oh, right. So the
Right.
medium. Oh, shit. Here we go. The medium does affect the weight then. So whether
The
it's
medium is
water,
supporting
air,
the
or a
weight
vacuum.
of us.
I have a
If
question.
there is no
Brian,
medium, there
Go
won't
for it.
be any support.
Brian, I don't understand
What
how
are you doing now?
water.
Building a fucking house.
Brian, how does liquid water support the brick? And which water supporting the brick? The water below it, the water above it? Because it doesn't matter how much deep we put the brick, as long as it doesn't touch the bottom. The water supports it all the same. So it doesn't matter if it's a meter. It has a meter under it of water or 1 centimeter, the water supports it just the same. How does this work, Brian? What, it's just the water that touch it that support it? What's supporting it?
You answered your own question. I don't need to answer that.
So you say
Right.
a thin layer invisible.
Test, like I did it, was to weigh the brick on a separate scale, put the brick on a luggage scale and lower it into the water only to the midpoint.
Okay.
Not all the way down, because you'll transfer the weight onto the container.
How?
So put it in the mid. Shut up, Choik. Mute yourself, for fuck's sake. Put the brick into the midsection of the water, and you will see your scales, your luggage scales, will read a few grams, maybe 100 grams lighter. And the scales you've zeroed with the water in will read maybe 100 grams heavier, because that's what.
Brian, just really quickly.
Strikey, shut up, for fuck's sake.
Let me just say this to you, Brian. I 100% agree with your last statement. It's called buoyancy. Buoyancy is derived from an emergent force that requires gravity. It is displacement, and it is a per unit volume ratio that would allow us to calculate that. But I don't want to measure buoyancy. I wanted to measure the downward force of something. I don't do that by figuring out whether I can put it on a pillow and measure it, put it in water and measure it. I measure the entire thing.
Okay. You can't get this because you're too far fucking. Listen to what I'm saying now. Get yourself a luggage scale and connect the brick to it by wires or cable ties or however you want to do it. Pick the brick up and obviously zero. I think they auto zero actually. Pick the brick up. What reading is that giving you? Hello?
It reads one brick, Brian. Go on.
What reading is it giving you, Stingray?
One brick, Brian. Go on.
What force is that giving you that reading?
I don't know. It's a force that
It's weight. It's the weight of the brick.
Remember, though, it's
in
the
air.
weight, not the mass.
It is in air.
Yeah,
now,
but remember, it's weight, not mass.
If we change that medium, that weight will read differently because the medium supports some or all, in the case of wood, the weight of it. And this is why Stingray can't answer me now, because he knows I'm fucking right. I've done the test myself. Thomas, you were there, weren't you? Was you? I did it live, didn't I?
He did say that he had to go. You did hear that, right?
Hey, can I
Jose,
jump in for 30 seconds? I know you did that, but I need to take this break because it's the first few dollars that I do today. So please allow me. You know, you're feedbacking, Brian, a little bit. Jamungus hooked me up with a big $10 via PayPal, and I want to thank you very much, Jamungus. Excellent. And there's a note with it, and I quote Jamungus. Good morning, and I hope everyone, even Lale and farmers, have a great weekend. Jose, can you let farmers know that that the end of someone's sentence isn't always an invitation for him to start talking? I'm sure he is sad that Meatloaf died. All white guys loved Meatloaf. God bless Joe Mongoose. $10. Thank you very much, Joe Mongoose. Farmer's Boy, you know that you heard that, right? Boom.
Oh, am I allowed to talk now that you've finished? Oh, good.
Actually, today is the first time that I heard Farmer's Boy when I actually told him, like, give me a second to read this comment. It was the first time that I heard you today. Good times, man.
Yeah,
welcome, everybody. Yeah, we got a bunch of people in the call. Brian Mabbett, Captain Caveman, Farmer's Boy, Gary C, Jincbr1, Sean Smith, Steve Rodino, and the Stingray, and this flip-flop. It is 1:02 p.m. Florida time on January 21st, 2022. The show will go on for one more hour, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, sad news about Meatloaf. Turns out that he would do anything for love, but he wouldn't do a jab. Never mind.
And why would he need to do a jab?
So that he wouldn't dive. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we don't talk about that topic in this channel. We don't talk about health. We don't talk about health in this channel.
Yeah. But that's what
I do apologize for that. Happy New Year to you anyway, JJ.
Hey, good to see you, man. Yeah.
Nice, man.
So what do you think? Do you catch a little bit of this weighing break in water and having whatever related to weight and gravity and all of that? You got any thoughts on that, Jin? Tell us about this force, quote, force of gravity.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, I'm going to stick with the facts, and that's, you have to consider two types of gravity. That's the Newtonian and Einsteinian. And as far as I know, Newtonians has been superseded by Einsteinian. Okay, so Newton's gravity thing is obsolete. He himself couldn't prove it. Okay, and Einstein replaced it, and they're both unproven theories anyway. So this force, I don't call it a force. I just call it the natural order of things. As Brian was saying, the medium, can't support things that have weight, Anything lighter than air is going to rise up, and anything heavier than air will obviously drop to the ground. So if you're putting something in water, on the other hand, some things do float, like an apple or a piece of wood, because the medium is able to support that piece of wood. Support is the word there. Maybe the wood has some buoyancy in it, but it's being supported. But yet I pick up a pebble, I'll drop that straight down because it's solid, it's heavier. It's not as buoyant as the piece of wood. Not gravity, is it?
So what causes
yes,
weight?
That's how buoyancy works.
What causes weight?
Well, the weight of an object that we've all agreed on this flat Earth is that molecules make up a mass, and those molecules individually have weights. When you combine them together, they'll become heavy. You can weigh that on the scales that we've decided and agreed upon across the flat Earth. Scales weigh up the mass and the material of an object.
So do you think that weight and mass are the same thing?
I do, yeah. I have to go with that. I mean,
you're wrong.
You can have a massive thing. It's still going to have some weight, isn't it?
No, mass and weight are two different things.
Well, when I say mass, I mean the size of something. That's
No,
what I
when
mean
I
by
say mass, I mean the amount of something.
Well, I'm talking about the size of something.
Well,
and I think we're talking.
Sorry, you're wrong.
I think we mean the same thing.
No, we don't mean the same. Mass and weight are two totally different things.
When I say mass, I mean the molecules that make up an object, and those molecules, each one of those individual molecules has a weight, depending on the molecule and the material of that molecule. So you mash them together.
So the weight varies on the molecule.
Let me finish, please.
Go
May
on
I
then.
just finish, please? Right, I will go on. Don't you worry.
Well, go on then, for fuck's sake.
Shut up. Now then, when you accumulate these molecules that have mass into a amount, then you're going to get a heavy amount of mass. It's going to have weight, and it's mass of weight.
Oh,
I yield to the right disrespectful gentleman.
Oh, dear.
I got a thought. I got a quick thought on these two types of gravity, because that, you know, I have heard through it through all the camps, you know, flat earth camp, skeptic camp, glober camp. I heard of all of it, and my understanding now is that it's not like the Newtonian gravity now is just garbage, and you just burn the book and you got a new book with a better with something different. No, what is going on that the Newton gravity neighborhood, right? It was explained on Earth, and then Einstein came in with a bigger brain, with brighter ideas, and he said, yeah, but if we apply this Newtonian gravity to further away to the celestial, you know, to the galactic scale, then we got to add this. So what this Einsteinian and Newtonian is not two different gravities. Newtonian gravity is more kind of for Earth, more for the smaller scale, and then Einstein evolved that to make it a lot bigger. So gravity is just not a force. Gravity is a lot more than a force. And Einstein, with the theory of relativity and all that good stuff, explains it further. What do you think about that take on it, Jim? It's not two different gravities. It's just one gravity, but one is more simple. One is a lot very elaborated.
Well, we do know that Sir Isaac Newton disagreed with his the idea that people were postulating, and that was mass attracting mass, because nowhere in the natural environment do we observe that. That's why he had difficulty proving gravity. And 106 years later, Albert Einstein came to the rescue. But we must remember the bending and warping of space-time fabric, that special relativity came to by him and his wife. And of course, where does that relate in our reality that we live? Bending and warping of space-time and the fabric. You need to explain how that relates to things dropping on the floor. Okay, you have to explain that. That's what I've got to say there. Okay.
Where did you hear that Newton says he didn't believe mass attracting mass?
I can post the citation if you want to read
Sure.
it.
Yes,
I'd love you to post it.
Let's see that citation, please. And please, let it be a citation and not a 2.5 hour long video where we have to find where somebody
It's not going to be a video.
Because that's what you usually do, isn't it, Jim?
Well, I mean, if I do that, it's because I want to. If I do that, it's because I want you to learn.
If you guys want to share, if anybody want to share something, we are in the Daily Boom Uncensored.
Yes, just post citation for us.
Links or pictures or something.
I've got a really quick question to Jin. Is it?
Yeah.
I'm sharing something, by the way, Jose.
All right.
Jin, can you click on my live share? Is that all right?
I've shared a picture. How you calculate mass. Units of mass are kilograms, which we know as a weight.
No, weight is in newtons.
Units of mass are kilograms.
Yes, units of mass, units of weight should be in newtons. Fuck's sake.
Newtons.
Mass are kilograms.
Yes, units of weight are newtons.
Newtons.
Oh, we are deviating because I got Stingray screen share up. I don't think it's going to go too long. And then we'll go back to this. Then we'll go back to this.
2.2 pounds make 1 kilogram.
Brian, can you not hear what the host is asking you?
Let's we were on a row on specific something, and this is related, yes, Brian, but let's finish this point the Stingray is going to make, and then we'll I promise we'll go back to your citation here.
Right.
Stingray, yeah.
This is to Jin that just postulated something. We're talking about molecules and things. So what I've got here, let's say I was able to construct a container. It is glass. Inside the glass.
Screen share. He's still watching my screen share, I think.
Oh shit. Can you see
I'll stop screen sharing.
Jin, you're on mute, by the way. Can you see my screen? Yeah, there you go.
I see it.
Yes.
YouTube see it.
Yeah. So in order, let's figure this out. So I've got this glass container. It's got air inside it. Yeah, just plain old air. We happen to be able to construct this. Now, in the center of it, suspended via, at the moment, magic, I've got either a ball bearing, water, whatever you want to call it, yeah? Just something that's a lot denser than air. Now, when I unpause my frozen reality, where's that water going? Or where's that ball bearing going? Or where's that denser medium going? And in order to tell me where it's going, do you need any other information?
Yeah, can you just explain that again, please?
Okay, yeah. So this is glass, and it's a perfect hollowed out glass ball, yeah? That's got air inside. Yeah, and it's perfectly spherical, no trigger word, offense intended.
Okay.
And then it's got in the center, dead center, it's got a heavier medium. Let's call it a marble. Yeah. So it's got a blue marble in the middle of it. And I've paused reality at this moment. I'm a deity and I can do this shit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let the laws of physics decide, but we're going to predict what happens. What information do you need from me to derive what direction this marble's going to take when I unpause reality? Anything, or can you tell me right now?
Broke up there.
To the bottom, to the south of the screen, to the bottom.
Up, so I have to disappear.
You're right, Jen. That was a question too.
Where is the marble gonna go? To the bottom, to drop to the south of the screen.
Yeah, I wanted a flat earth answer.
That's my answer. Stay hot, Mike.
I don't know what Jin's doing. Oh, he's
Brian, do you want to take a shot?
Yeah. What medium is it in?
It's so inside this glass is air.
Yeah.
And it's a marble made of glass or metal or whatever the hell you want, but just a hell of a lot denser than air.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Now I heard what you said, so I'm not looking at your screen anymore now. If you don't mind, just repeat it one more time. You got your bowl, you got the blue medium in the middle, you got your blue marble. Now what do you want to know?
Oh God, yeah, blue marble trigger as well. Jesus. So I want to know that when I unpause reality, what direction is the blue marble going to go inside this sealed container of air?
You got it suspended, you said, didn't you? Oh yeah.
Reality.
And now you're going to release the suspension, are you?
Yeah. Let's say I can create this. I can instantly burst this into existence. Yeah.
Mm. So am I observing this from the top or from the side? Am I looking at your bowl from the side?
What do you mean by top and side?
When I mean from above, am I hovering above looking at this, or am I on the ground looking at the side through the bowl at the blue marble?
Does it matter?
Well, because from the above, it's going to drop down into your bowl, isn't it? It's going to drop to the bottom of the bowl if you let go of the suspension. That's all I can imagine. Is that right?
What makes
Jin, you're looking at it at 90 degrees.
At 90
sideways.
Degrees.
Muppet vision, yeah, sideways.
Sideways, thank you very much.
Like an old Nintendo game, like an old Mario game, okay.
Yeah, right. Now, remember, you brought in this thing as a fictional, you had the control of this marble, yeah? And now you put it back into our reality. So what we would see in our reality is that ball drop down to the bowl. If it's a solid mass blue marble, which is generally heavy thing, and air cannot support that, so it will drop into the bowl. Yeah, it will drop into the bowl, yeah.
So what made it do that since the density around it was equal?
Well, you didn't say that at the beginning. That it was equal at the beginning, but we've gone back to our reality because that's what you're saying now. Because if you're describing, hang on a second. If you're describing your fantasy world, what's going on? You know, where you are able to suspend things and suddenly stop suspending. I did ask you: are we back into our reality, or are we still in your world? Because if you're in our reality, that's going to be dropping into the bowl. Because that's all we see in the natural world. Heavy things are not.
Can I have a go?
Yeah, go for it, Brian.
You may, please.
We keep losing your Jin. I don't know if you're dropping your signal or what. I'll take it up until you get your. So this medium, this blue marble, well, let's call it a ball bearing. Let's make it out of steel. So this blue steel ball is of a greater density than all of the air around it. So it will go to try and find its density level, which in our reality is the ground. It's obviously less dense than the ground.
But is it not protected from the ground because it's in a glass container that's completely sealed and spherical?
Well, it will hit as far as it can get towards the ground. Now, let's change it up. Let's fill that sphere then with mercury, and then we're going to release it. Now, which way would you say it would go?
Well, I've got a reason that you don't agree with, and I would say the buoyant force would push it upwards, but that's not the point.
No, it is the point. It is exactly the point.
No, listen to this. The point here is, around this ball is the same density. Now, if you're telling me that the ball is going to decide to go down, irrespective that the density is equal all around, I'm going to say, you've got problems with your model, sir.
So is it the same density if that is full of mercury? All the way around is the same density.
Yeah.
Which way is it going to travel?
It's going to go up because of the buoyant force.
Right. Now, what you're seeing, or you can't see, is the air is going to go up because of the buoyant force, and the marble will push the air out the way because it's of a greater density. So it's the reverse of what if it was in a denser medium.
Right. So are we agreed that the density around this, if it's in air, is equal, correct?
Exactly the same as if it was in mercury, yes.
Yeah, let's forget mercury. Let's stick to
No, because we need to test it in other.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Let's stick to one. Pick one.
Mercury. We'll stick with mercury.
Right. So now the ball is in mercury and it is less dense, right? But the density of the mercury all around it is actually more equal in density and uniform than it would be in air. So every direction that this ball can sentiently decide to go is the same density to get to the edge. It's got to push away the same amount of matter. Can you tell me why it goes up?
Because the medium around it is greater and it will push the less medium up and out of the way.
Why up?
Because the mass around it is of a greater density.
Yeah, it's greater density below, greater density above, equally. Why up?
It is taking up space, right? The actual ball bearing is taking space that the mercury wants to get into.
So same density above it, below it, same space above it, below it. Why up?
I've just told you.
Can I answer that?
Brian? Fucking repeating myself.
Brian, can I answer that, please? It's because that is the natural order of things in the way the creator intended it. We didn't create this. So that question, why does it go up? You're going to need to deal with the creator there. We didn't make that. It's what we observe. But we're not going to start pretending we know. What, can I not finish? We're not going to start pretending we know. We've given you exactly what we observe. Why it goes up, that's the natural order of things as created on this planet Earth. That's it. Unless
I got one comment. I need to say this one comment. As created, as intended. How do you know where do you get this information from? That's the natural order. How do you know this information?
Well, because that's what we naturally observe. We're watching. It's happening in our very eyeballs. We didn't create.
Then where do you bring this creator from? Why do you have to mention him if that's the thing it is? Why a creator? Where do you get the idea that there's a creator?
The reason I mention it is that no human being has created this flat Earth that we live on. It's beyond man's capability, without a doubt. We're at nature's mercy.
I got
keepers.
Okay, I need 30 seconds because I need to give two big shout outs. I just checked on PayPal and I got a few hits like John Watson. Look at that. John Watson say, Checkmate, John Mongoose. He say tip steak, John Mongoose, because John Mongoose gave me $10 and John Watson just gave me $11, so he upped you. John Mongoose chip steak, says John Watson. Big thank you. And there's one more. Wait, there's more. Dude, this is a big one. $20 by Sean Smith. Sean Smith, thank you so much for your support. John Watson, John Mongoose, everybody. But there's a note by Sean Smith. Jose, just a question for Brian. How do they figure out how to scale, how they scale weight things in pounds or grams? Oh, how do they figure out, how did they figure out how they scale weight things in pounds or grams, Brian? Somebody just made up grams, and pounds, and that's what they use, Brian, you think? Or how did they figure out how to weigh things in that? Nothing.
I'm rattling away again. I'm muted. Apparently, now you can check this out yourself. 1 litre of water weighs 1 kilo.
Yes. Well done.
Is that 1 liter American or European?
There is no American litre.
We're talking about gallons. Gallons is all different.
Yes. 1 litre of water at room temperature weighs 1 kilogram.
Yeah. Now
this is something I've had to explain to architects more times than I really should have to.
We calculate our fuel 0.7 of a kilo per litre.
That's right, because petrol is less dense than water.
So when we calculate the fuel requirements in kilos, we do it as 0.7 per litre. Now, whether they've scaled from that, I don't know.
Just really quickly, Brian, when you're calculating and measuring that petrol, I hope you're suspending it from a luggage weight.
You can weigh it however you want.
One time I bought a liter of water in a fancy container. It was like a wooden container, like an inch thick. And at the end of the day, I drank like 4 ounces of water. Does that count?
All absorbed into the wood.
I'd love Jin's take on the predictive model that I've got.
The other thing is, if that blue sphere in the middle there was, let's say, helium, and the medium it was in was, say, air, we would find it going up because the air is more dense than the helium, and it would push the helium upwards because the natural, as Jin says, the natural thing is for things to find their own level. But if we change that and we put hydrogen around it, you will find the balloon would go down because the hydrogen is less dense than helium.
I just want to make sure that when you say down, you mean towards the big mass under your feet, right?
To downwards, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and we can disprove that by having things going the opposite way, changing the medium they're in.
No, that's buoyancy again.
That's what you're witnessing.
Yeah, it's called buoyancy. And an inherent part of buoyancy is gravity. Sorry,
Ryan. Think about this. Let's see if I can explain something here. Think about this. Let's say we've got this, which is incredibly heavy. Yeah. And then I'm gonna, and let's say these are molecules. So these are, wait a minute, let me just change color on this, just so that where the hell is shit? I'm blind. There we go. Let me just change this to be, oh dear, not doing that. I'll change this to be something else. Let's say, no. There we go, and I'll change this to be red. Let's say. So let's say blue is heavier than red. Yeah, sorry, has got more mass than red. Yeah.
Say again. Jose jumped all over you.
So yeah, Jose, Jesus. So blue is
sorry.
No, Jose, not Jesus.
So blue is heavier than red, correct? Well, that's what I'm telling you. It's got more mass, right?
Right.
Is that? Are we all right with that?
Yeah.
Right. Now imagine this is shaking. Yeah. How are these going to arrange? This is vibrating.
Blue's heavier than red.
Yep.
We're in a sealed sphere.
Yep. Sealed.
What's the outer medium they're in? What is the medium they're all in?
It could be Mercury, gold, parts of Uranus. Doesn't actually matter because it's sealed.
Gold. Well,
yeah, liquefied, anything liquefied, or
liquefied
air, or any type of air.
Matter.
Yeah.
And it's shaking. This is the one with the most mass.
Right.
They all can collide with each other. But what's going to happen if this is vibrating? This one's going to
shoot its load.
This one's going to go all the way down to the bottom, isn't it? And the rest are going to just sit around it. But it
depends if any of them are less dense than the medium they're in. If the medium they're in is more dense, they will arrange the cells perfectly up completely the other way round. The red ones would be at the top and the blue one would be underneath it. If the medium they were in was more dense.
Yeah, awesome. So this one here now is at the bottom because it's got the most mass, yeah? It's the one that's wanting to be at the bottom the most out of all of these because the red ones have got slightly less mass, correct? And we're both agreed at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to shake this now, still again, but I'm going to say this one has the least mass, the blue one, by quite a margin. What's going to happen? I'm going to shake this. What's going to happen? So all these are now bouncing around.
Again, it's still heavier than the medium it's in.
Yeah. Is it fair to say that this one's going to somehow do this?
I think if you agitate them, it would do that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, something like that. But I could be wrong. I've never done it, and it is purely theoretical. Don't forget.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This is computer glass balls, so you can't get any more theoretical than that at the moment. So it's
a beautiful package, that is.
It is, isn't it? So what we've witnessed here is because something is heavier and it sat in things that are lighter, it went to the bottom, and then because things are lighter, this one thing is lighter and it's sat in heavier things, it got pushed to the top, right?
Yeah.
Right. So all of these, let's say due to the air, and I'm going with you here, due to the air, all tried to get to the bottom, but now the red ones have more mass, they won. And the blue one lost, but it's still heavier than the air above it, so it sat on the red ones, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's buoyancy. And that's what happens when you have a downward force.
Hold on, let me just stop you there. You have just told me their weight is a force.
Yes, weight is a force, correct.
That's what weight is.
Exactly. So what you're explaining is the force being applied is from their weight.
Oh, dear.
No. That's like saying the force being applied is from their force.
So why is it swapped round then?
Mass.
Because all you've done is swap the weight. That's less heavier now. All you have done is swap the weights of the red and the blue, and now the red are now at the bottom.
Can I present it a different way?
No, because I'm winning this one.
No, just simply, I had posted it in the chat, and it's a much simpler example. Brian, if I blow up a beach ball and put it on a body of water, would you agree that the beach ball floats?
Yes.
Okay. Would you also agree the bottom of that beach ball, the very bottom of the beach ball, breaks the surface of the water?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's still got mass, and the mass is the container.
But it's less dense.
It's
Brian.
got mass. It isn't going to float away, is it? It's got mass. It's got weight.
Brian, I'm saying I think it's sitting on the water. It's not breaking the water. It's just sitting on it. It's not going in.
No, you would find, Jin,
No.
you would find, because it's a curved surface, you would find the centre of it would be below the water surface, because the water to support that needs to be able to press on it.
Yeah,
So
it needs
an area to press
a
on.
little bit. Wouldn't you say it was displacing a little bit? Well, it's not really breaking that surface. It's sitting on it. Imagine it. Try and imagine that. If I put my hand in the water, I'm now submerging my hand in that water. But that ball, that beach ball, is sitting on the water.
You can take a piece of wood and lay it on water, and a proportion of it would be below the surface.
Yeah, a piece
Correct.
of wood.
Colloquially, it's sitting on the water. But if you're in the water looking up at it from below, you will see the bottom of the beach ball breaching the surface of the water. There's a force acting upon it.
Yes, agreed.
What is that force?
Shout out to everybody on YouTube. Needed to say that.
Do you have to butt in, Jose?
Yes, shout out to everybody on YouTube. Please hit like if you haven't done so. Slides Arcane say that he demonstrated the very thing in this channel.
We are in a flow, back and forth, and you have to jump in.
Because I gotta break it because we got half an hour to go. That half an hour has to include final thoughts and everything.
Yeah, let me just say that as well. Big shout to everyone in the YouTube chat room there. Nice to have you on board. Thank you very much. And Happy New Year to all of you. All the best for 2022. Stay healthy, of course. And
you all need to share. You all need to
planet.
share. You all need to share this channel because we need 1,000 subscribers and we are so close to 500. So we're gonna celebrate when we hit the 500.
Yeah.
We got 470 subs. We need 500 first, and then after that 500, after the big festivities, we gotta hit the 1,000. So you must share the show.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
We do.
I'm done interrupting, Brian.
Go on, Brian, mate.
Too late. I've lost my fucking thread now.
So basically, we're talking about the ball sitting on the water, piece of wood submerged, partially submerged, you see, partially. That ball isn't submerged at all. That ball is sitting on the surface of the water, as far as I'm concerned.
I have a question for
Jin. It's got no weight. Yeah, go on.
I have a question for you, Jin. But what does it mean, natural order of things?
Well,
can we change the natural order of things? Or
you can try to change the natural order of things, and then you're going to get different results, unexpected results. Of course.
How can I change the natural order of things?
Well, you know, when you're dependent and independent variables, when you're doing
it's not so natural.
To establish,
it's not so natural,
are you talking
right?
over me? Are you talking
I'm
over
asking
me?
you.
Ask me a question. You
So
ask me a
it's not
question.
natural.
In the interest of good manners and people who are listening on the show, when you ask me a question, do allow me to speak. Because if you wanted to go to a shit show, I can do that quite easily. Okay? Now let's have some respect there. Now, as I was saying, yeah, when you're using the scientific method, which is what we flat up as use to establish a standard, yeah, when you check your independent variables and dependent variables, you can then check things, change the order of things, okay? Then you can find out whether your hypothesis is correct or not, okay?
Right. So we can easily change your buoyancy things to act sideways and not down. So it's not naturally down. It's not naturally down. It's something that causes it to be down or sideways as we change it.
Yeah, when you change it though, that will no longer be the natural order of things, yeah? Because the natural order of things that we see in our world, things go up when they're lighter than air, and things go down when they're heavier than air. And when we have a bunch of keys in my left hand and a helium balloon attached to a string on my right hand, and we let go, one goes up, one goes down, and there's no gravity involved in that action whatsoever. I yield to the impatient young man.
Young? I'm not young. I'm older than you, I think. Anyway, well, are you 60?
Yeah.
He's older than you.
Okay, maybe. So he sounds young. So we can change the natural order of things to an unnatural order of things. What?
Well, when we say when I in particular, who loves nature and has it at the highest esteem, when I say the natural order of things which the Creator intended for us to use, you can change it if you wish, but remember, it's not going to be natural anymore. You've changed the state to try and find something else, or to please yourself, if you will.
So it's not longer natural.
Well,
it's like
you're
taking metal out of the earth and making it into a bicycle or a car, or building a house or a road. That's going to take it out of the natural order of things, which would be disrespectful to nature, I guess is what you're saying, Jen?
I didn't go down that road at all. It is not wrong to change the natural order of things to harness the best of it, as long as we're not using it to destroy. So building a house out of natural materials to build from hemp, let's say, and build a house, that would be the highest respect you could give to the Creator in that case.
If we went and mined loads of materials from the top of a mountain, could I have a floating house?
Depending on what the materials are, probably. Yes.
Nice.
Why not?
Well, it's like a Minecraft world.
There you go.
Jin, can you...
Could be possible. Don't knock it.
Before Jose closes the show and stuff,
Aren't all materials come from Earth? So aren't they all natural?
I would agree with you,
Correct.
Brian. I think that's a very commonsensical thing to say.
Even
we only have two categories. One is supernatural and one is natural.
Even plastic.
There are no other categories in science, as far as I know. But people are right to their own opinion.
Jen, can I ask your opinion on something, mate?
You're very
yes, you may. Please do. You're coming in a bit low on the volume, sir.
Oh, sorry. Wait a minute. Well, I wasn't pointed at the microphone.
Okay.
Can you see my screen if I share?
You can put it on. Every time I go to the screen, right, my audio goes haywire. And
I'm not gonna share your screen right now. At the end, we're gonna have only voice on YouTube. You can share with each other over here, but you're not gonna be sure on YouTube.
Okay.
Can you click on mine? It doesn't matter. I'll tell you what. Click on mine, and I'll quickly just describe what I've done, and then you can unclick and do it.
Okay. Well, I'm looking again. Go ahead.
All right. So what I did is the way that I
go ahead.
Yeah. So the way that I got all the dimensions of things. This is no different to building a physical model. All I did is search Google, modern, got scientific figures for distances and size of things, and the angle of things as well. The devil worship 23.5 degree thing. And I made it so that I can plant myself anywhere on Earth and look at the path of the sun. And it also shows me the Terminator line. So right now, as where I'm guessing you are, we're in the United Kingdom, and I can move this little widget around.
I'm in Japan. I'm in Japan, mate.
Oh shit! Okay, let's do that. So in Japan, oh balls, a lot of balls. So in Japan, we would be looking
3:35 a.m. in the morning. Very early. Sparrow's part. Earlier than the Sparrow's part at the moment.
What the hell are you doing up at this time? Seriously. So anyway, I'm now in Japan. Well, sorry. The observer, which is this dude on the right, this screen here, is now in Japan. So I can what we can do, what this model presents, all it does is it says, hey, the distance to the sun is millions of miles. This is the size of the Earth. It's a ball and it rotates. And that's all. No maths, no nothing. I'm just rotating it. And I'm sticking, much like a camera on a beach ball. It's just that I don't have to build a massive model that involves tens of miles. I can just do it on a computer and it's really easy. So this view on the right here is now the view over in Japan. And if I rotate the sphere, what we can see is the sun is going to rise there for you. And it's going to come up and get to there, which is actually quite high compared to the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
This is today's month. This is around today's date in
immediately
February, by the way. So it is, it's just it's coming to the end of January, and this is the view. Each one of these is 5 degrees, and this predicts the path of the sun through your sky, and it always works. But not only does it do that, if we look at this screen at the bottom left, it also predicts the terminator line based on the angle tilt of the Earth.
I can't really
with live webcams. I'm just wondering if this is 100% accurate and still not true. Should we use it?
Not gonna work out. He's been struggling to try to see your screen share and hear us and all that good stuff. Yeah, it just doesn't work for him.
He's losing bandwidth.
Yeah. He's on his phone or something.
No, he's just got a shit connection.
Well, Japan would be
Japan, you're kidding me.
Slightly ahead of everybody else.
You only get what you pay for.
So yeah, I've returned. I didn't catch anything you said because your audio breaks up when I look at your screen, unfortunately.
Damn it. Okay.
Yeah, I do apologise for that. I know you put a lot of effort into it. I saw the two spherical balls and you were moving it around, loading us up onto Japan. What was your question going to be anyway? Let's see if I can.
So all I did is I Googled the radius of the Earth, what current science says it is. You know, people that study it.
Yeah.
And the current distance, and I did all of that. And all I did is built a physical model, but just inside 3D. So obviously non-physical, but no different to me using beach balls. It's just that I wanted to start placing cameras and stuff. And all I did is I rotated the Earth to get night and day. And it can tell me things like the path of the sun through my sky to within less than half a degree accurate over time. It can tell me where it's going to rise, the highest point, and set. It can also show me the terminator line. And it does that by just having parallel lines from a very distant sun. It's 100% accurate. And I'm just wondering, if I'm a farmer and I've got this model of a sphere with a sun that's millions of miles away and it's 100% accurate, it'd be pretty stupid not to use it, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's if you're living on a ball, you see, if you're living on an oblate spheroid, but
no,
we're not, you see.
This might be false. What I've done might be utterly, totally false. But unfortunately, at the moment, it's 100% accurate in its predictive capability. So therefore, if I'm a farmer, if let's say I've got a phobia of nights and I only want to travel in the night, I can use travel in the day. Sorry, I can use this to navigate around with 100% accuracy, and it never fails. So even if the proposition is false, this model still works. And it's perfectly true.
Well, yeah, because it's in line with the sun, and the sun rotates over the Earth in 24 hours. That's why it works. We're being told, but even though hang on, please allow me to finish. What you say is correct, but what's actually happening is that we're being deceived about the shape of the Earth. It is not a ball; it's a flat, level, stationary plane that the sun and the moon orbit on top. That's why it's working perfectly. Yeah, just lose the ball. Hang on a second. Lose the ball, and you're happy as Larry. Bring the ball in, then you've got to start to measure curvature now, and then let's check the spin now.
So this model using two balls works perfectly, 100% predictable, matches reality. Now I decided to build a flat Earth model. Now I'm going to tell you about the next stage, which I'm going to do. So I built a flat Earth model, and I used the AE map. But I realised that the map of the continents are utterly irrelevant, because for every square 10 miles, I can plant a camera and try and match up the path of the sun in any season with any height of any size of sun doing a radius around a flat Earth, and none of it matches my reality at all.
I would beg to differ there greatly, because we do have a big shout to this guy, Flat Earth Banjo, who is in a place called Aichi Ken, not too far from me, and he is the expert that I go to when it comes to these flight paths that don't work on a globe that perfectly works on a flat Earth. So I'm going to beg to differ that one with what you're saying there, that whatever you're making doesn't work on a flat Earth. I have to see it. We'd have to be sitting down together and see this thing.
I can absolutely show you. And I would love some help in trying to make it work on a flat Earth. I really would. So the only things that I can say with these models is I don't believe in absolute truth. So when you say something is proven, all I'm taking from that is beyond reasonable doubt, it is most probably true. But that is not to mean that it is true. All I can say about what I've done with the globe model, with current science and what they say it is, and the flat Earth model, things that I've had to derive myself from ideas of flat earthers, that on the globe model, it can predict the Terminator line, the path of the sun through the sky, all of that good stuff. On the flat Earth, it can't do any of that.
Well, the flat Earth is the real thing, so your model doesn't fit the reality of the flat Earth. That's what that means. You're in a fantasy world with that stuff. You're in the, hang on a minute, I let you speak, didn't I? Right, you've got your 3D model. That's your model. We flat Earthers don't live on a model. Okay, we live on the flat Earth, where we observe the sun orbiting above our heads. It's never late. It's on time every day of the week. Okay, and it's level. We don't measure curvature. We do not detect any spin at all. And we know for sure that if the Earth was a ball in the vacuum of space, minus 10 to the 17 tour of a vacuum, you would need to have a barrier or some kind of container to contain our air pressure. Otherwise, you would have entropy, and that would all be gone into the vacuum of space. So, no, we don't have that. We're level.
Yeah, so we call that Gish galloping. What it is I was addressing 3 specific points: predictive capability of both flat and sphere, and then you just went off and scattergunned on a load of things. I mean,
no. I covered. I stuck.
I'll let you finish.
Okay, go on. I'll let you finish.
Let you finish. So we know that there's 14.7 psi, pounds per square inch here at surface level, and when we go up, it starts to get less. For you to think that lessening would suddenly terminate with a boundary rather than just fade out into very low pressure is a little bit weird to me, I'm going to be honest, but so be it. That's not my point of contention. My point of contention is I walk outside here in England, and these spheres and distances and what current science says matches my reality. The predictive capability of what I've done in a couple of hours, taking in current science, gives me predictions that are 100% accurate to me walking outside and looking. With the flat Earth, it doesn't even compute. It doesn't make predictions, and I can't make them match reality. If you've got another way, I am willing to show you the model, and you tell me how it's wrong.
Right. Well, I mean, you can't be telling me to tell you how it's wrong on your model, mate. It's your model. Basically, those who are listening in the chat room, in the live stream here, listen up, boys and girls. Basically, what he's saying is that he's unable to measure the curvature on the ground, because once you've done that, once he's actually done that and said, yes, here is the curvature and here's the spin detected, then his model would be ruling supreme. But that's his Achilles heel. He's bringing a model in that doesn't fit the reality. There is no way you can say things are matching when you don't have your curvature existing and you do not bring this spin into reality. His name? Albert Einstein could not prove it. He said, I've come to believe that no optical experiment can be conducted to detect Earth's rotation, but I know it's spinning around the sun. Do you know what I mean? Wild, as he could say that, but there you go. Okay. Yes, so until you can do this, you're in deficit, sir. That's the best thing I can say. You are indeed in deficit. It is flat by default, and you are a flat upper gonna be. Thank you. I do yield to the.
You're not in court.
This character.
Yeah. Not in a court.
committed to the heliocentrism.
You yielded.
You had your time. You had your word. So let's hear it.
So Einstein made that quote in the 1920s, before we had any form of space flight. What do you think that Einstein would have said after he saw pictures from space of things like, the Apollo mission and the earlier missions, even 1944 with the V2 rockets, when they're actually sending up there, one showing the curvature of the Earth and two actually showing that the Earth rotates? Do you think that he would say that is not an optical observation at that time?
Then
well, it's worse than that. That was a completely disingenuous rendition of the quote. The quote was actually taken out of an impromptu talk that Einstein was giving to a bunch of students, and he was specifically referencing the Michelson-Morley experiment. That's what he was talking about.
Stingray, the people that have perpetrated this deception upon us, they are, I wouldn't know how many magnitudes cleverer than you and I. And don't you think you have just proved that they have constructed this around their figures? That you have proved that it works if you type in all of their figures. They have completely engineered what you have brought into, I wouldn't say reality, but a visual reference.
Yeah, I get it. So what you're saying basically is
copied their figures, which they're very much cleverer than us, and you have now produced what they have deceived us with.
Yeah. Now, the
You're
weird
partly right,
coincidental thing here, though, the incredible coincidental thing is if I increase any of those distances like twofold, if I change that information even slightly, it doesn't match my reality anymore. Granted, it still matches it more than a flat Earth does, but it sends everything off. It has to be pretty much exact. And that's a hell of a coincidence for them to architect the reality outside my window to match the architectural reality that they got me to create with those figures, right?
Don't you think they have the same observations and reality that you are in? And they have constructed this around what they see. The fact of the matter is, mate, and you cannot get over this, there is no rotation, there is no curvature.
Hold on, Ryan.
Please put that into your model and then see what you come up with.
Ryan, you asked me to bring evidence. I posted the video. You weren't here. I don't know where you were. About measuring the rotation. You want me to post it again?
Where did you post it? I was watching
in the chat.
Can you post it again, please? Can you post it again? And can you give us a little explanation, a very short one, 10 seconds, 20 seconds? What do you mean? This big measure?
Give him a minute at least.
Yeah.
Where did you go to do this, Choi?
Yeah.
No, I didn't do it. Jesse did it.
You didn't do it?
No, I didn't. I don't have gyroscope.
Oh, genetic fallacy time.
I'm sorry, I can't take that as evidence then.
Well, it's a gyroscope.
No,
you can't, Charlie. You know you've got to do it yourself. You can't present somebody else's evidence.
You can't do it. You asked me about for experiment you can do, and you can do this. Go find the gyroscope. I'm sure you can afford one. Buy this. It's a junk from an old airplane, and do what he did.
And Brian, I've got to point back to you. So, what experiments have you personally done? Not anybody else's stuff. Not referring to any other video. What experiments have you done to demonstrate or measure that the Earth is flat and has no curvature?
Observations.
What observations?
What was your independent variable?
Cannot find the curvature that we are allegedly have.
And how have you tried to measure that?
He hasn't.
Known distances.
No, he hasn't measured anything.
Could be hidden well behind a curvature.
And where have you made those observations, Brian?
Up at Hull, where Lee's at Scunny, so just Hull's about 30 mile away.
I know Hull very well.
Yeah.
He's basically saying it looks flat.
also I've done that one I was explaining about hanging a hammer in water as opposed to dropping it into the bucket that you're weighing and then wondering why the scales weigh the same as the brick. Ridiculous.
So what I'm asking, Brian, that still doesn't prove that the Earth is flat. That's just trying to sort of debunk gravity. What I'm asking from you is what measurements have you taken, not just eyeballing it, what measurements have you taken, what actual experiments have you tried to do to validate the flat Earth in any way, shape or form yourself, because this is your criteria. So I'm sure you would have done it, considering how vocally you support the flat Earth.
Right.
Brian, if I may be allowed,
No, I'm asking Brian a question, Jen. I would really like him to answer
but
it,
he's
please.
having difficulty getting it out.
Let me state my case. The ground we live upon is not flat.
Claim.
We have a mountain 29,000 feet above the level of the sea. That is my claim.
So when have you observed that mountain?
When have I observed it?
Yeah, you've got to do this yourself. You can't rely on anybody else's shit, mate. That's got to be hand waved away. That was your criteria, and I'm now holding you to your standard.
The only mountains I've ever observed were the Alps when we went down to Spain.
Mm-hmm. That's the Pyrenees, by the way, not the Alps.
The Pyrenees, is it? Right.
Yeah. The Alps are up near Switzerland, France, Germany. Not that I know my geography quite well. So again, how did that prove that the Earth was flat? What measurements did you take? What actual documented observations have you done to bring this to our table? Or is it just it looks flat?
I am not making any claims about what
so you don't claim the Earth is flat and you don't claim it's not a globe then? Cool. Okay, well done. Let's move on.
Claim what shape the Earth is. That's
fine. You're not saying it's not a globe. You're not saying it's a flat plane. You're not saying it's anything because you're not making a claim. Let's move on.
I do not know the shape of what this is we're living upon. What I
could be a globe.
Using the method of it's gone
yeah, I did back you into a corner, didn't I?
You did. You keep fucking talking. Elimination. Process of elimination. Now, we are told, and you were told the same as I'm told, we're living on a round ball that spins at a given rate. Now, if
that's not good enough for you, I agree, Brian, because that's not something you've personally observed. And I'm totally on board. I'm using your criterion standard of evidence, and you've never observed that curve. That's absolutely fine. So you can't say it is a globe, you can't say it is flat, you can't say it's not a globe, and you can't say it's not flat. That's kind of where I'm hearing you are. I don't know, which you would basically blatantly say.
Yeah, but that is not a crime, is it, by the way?
No, it's not a crime at all. At all. I'm absolutely fine with his position.
Okay.
It's just that if he's going to set a criteria of evidence, then I'm going to hold him to it. That's fair, isn't it?
Would do, as you usually do. That's fine. But I think he's given a good account of his observations, which is
of his faithful beliefs.
Hang on a second, please. That's why we have eyes. One of our senses, one of 5 senses that we got to determine whether we're on a globe or not. By the way, but carry on, please, Brian, if you haven't finished.
Thank you, Jim. As I was trying to explain, what we know of science or the methods that we employ, if Earth was surrounded by a vacuum, we would not have any atmosphere here to breathe. Now, I'm not saying there's a container. I don't even think there's a container. All I'm saying is if what they tell us, we are in a vacuum, then it is absolute that we would not have an atmosphere on this Earth.
So I could, you great. I've no problem with what you're saying there, but you also can't rule out the fact that potentially the atmosphere just extends forever, and that's why we have one.
We're told it doesn't. We're told
but we haven't seen that, have we? So we can only do the stuff that, either you've directly observed yourself. That's all I'm holding you to.
I'm going on what we have all been told, and we have told we're in a spatial area that has 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum.
But that doesn't matter, Brian, because unless you've done it yourself, observed it yourself, then nothing anybody else says matters, does it?
Correct.
Don't talk like a cunt.
Well,
If somebody tells you your car has got fucking 19 wheels and you look at it and it's only got 4, do you believe them that you've still got 19 fucking wheels?
I don't know. There could be a little big rig in the back, couldn't there? You know, there could be like a matchbox car there.
If Earth was surrounded by a vacuum, we would not have fucking an atmosphere. It would equalise.
Your assertion, Brian.
Or not, I do not know. But one thing is for sure, if we lived in this fucking ridiculous vacuumous area, we would not have an atmosphere.
No, that's your assertion.
Okay,
that's your assertion. So, Brian, I agree with you. Let's go with elimination. Okay.
10, 20 seconds here. The power of observation. I was invited to teach English at elementary school, junior high school, and high school here in Japan. Okay, I got them to do an experiment, and that experiment, I was conducting an experiment secretly. What I did was I got them to draw the seaside scene. So that would be the horizon, yachts on the sea, people swimming in the sea, seagulls in the air, the sun, the clouds. Yeah, you get the idea. And I had to draw mine on the whiteboard. Now, the best picture was going to win a pen that I got from Hawaii. Okay. Now, my horizon was deliberately a curved one. Okay. As if I'm on the globe for real. Yeah. Okay. Now, every child and the teachers, they all drew a spirit leveled horizon, and they laughed at my picture. Right? They were giggling and laughing at my picture. And when I asked them why they were laughing, they said, Jin Sensei, you are wrong, because the horizon is not bent like that. I said, okay, thank you very much. But wait a minute. I said, but we're living on a globe, aren't we? And then the whole class went quiet. You could hear a pin drop. Okay? So the power of observation is there. And understanding this world being a flat plane, it's child's play, because even the children know. I yield to the server. Next, please.
Oh my God.
Thank you. You said.
Okay. You should be able to hear me because it is that time. It is 2 p.m. for me. Sorry, I cut it right in there. It is what it is. We're not going to have final thoughts. The show is over. I need to run. I got to go visit my dad, my parents, my dad, my mom are going to be hanging out. And that is exactly the time. This is exactly the time that I need to run. So I want to thank all the panelists. So if you guys would like to go, then all you have to do is join the Discord server, The Daily Boom. Hold on. Oh, we had a new participant. There you go. Hold on. I gotta fix something. Speaker poster. Neil, if you are listening, I just gave you roles. I'm sorry, I wasn't aware. You got speaking roles and you got posting roles. You guys can go in and join the call. This Discord server is open, so you guys are free to come and join. If anybody would like to join, if anybody would like to record the after show for your own use, please feel free to do so. Don't hesitate. Thank you very much, all the new people that came in. I give you blue range, so you guys can feel free to come in and share links in YouTube and feel free to chat and have fun. Thank you very much for your support. I'm out. Jose JG saying boom. I need to open this. Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. That's one. What else I need to do? Now I need to press this. If you guys go on join Discord, last point. If you guys join Discord, you have to DM direct message me or one of the Oh yeah, Blue. Who was that? Blue Feather. Yeah, let me find you and give you roles. I'm sorry about that because you're not gonna be able to post or do anything. Blue Feather, you will be set in a second. I just have to give you roles. Okay, how do I do this? Oh, roles. Okay, now you can post, you can speak, you can hang out everywhere you are. You might gonna wanna drop and rejoin. DM any of the moderators on the YouTube chat. Their names are red. We got Big Blue, Hannah, Mr. Gary Cat, Neri Gary, RT96, or Shonji. You guys DM any of those. Say, hey, give me roles, and they got you. Thank you very much. Jose Yaji out. Boom.